This week on Oklahoma Horizon. When it comes to our economy and our way of life, I cannot think of a single commodity that we depend upon more but criticize as much as oil. Today, we're going to take a look at how that industry is driving our state's exports to record levels and see what that means for our economy.
Exports are a very important part of our economy, mostly because they help generate wealth. The products and the goods that we sell to people outside of the state of Oklahoma bring in money to Oklahoma.
We travel to the Tulsa Port of Catoosa to see how energy is fueling a boom of exports down our state's waterways.
Coming in 101 on the starboard side, 450 plus me abreast.
Roger. We'll be offloading it at a steel dock, which will then be loading it onto rail cars to be distributed throughout the country.
And we will end our day looking at a controversial film that says society has been spoiled by oil. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Well, Oklahoma exports reached record levels during the first half of 2012, and thanks in great part to our state's energy industry. Through June, $3.4 billion worth of goods were shipped out of state, an increase of about 12% and close to double the national average. Joining me now to take a closer look at what we are exporting and where it is going is our Andy Barth.
Rob, the tough economy doesn't seem to get Oklahomans down. With one of the most diverse export markets in the world, the state has nowhere to look but forward.
Sweet one. Yeah.
A late summer garden may be an unexpected place for international diplomacy. But for Oklahoma Secretary of Agriculture Jim Reese and Azerbaijan Ambassador Elen Suleymanov, it's a common interest.
That's exactly what we have in Azerbaijan, I think.
And important for exports.
Oil and gas.
Well, the analogy I usually use is that if you have a round table, 10 people with $100, and they trade it back and forth, and this is the state of Oklahoma trading it back and forth, you still have $1,000 at the end of the day, or as long as they trade. But once you send those dollars out of state and trade outside of our state borders, you're bringing new dollars in and you're trading an export out. You're selling an agricultural product outside our borders and you're bringing cash in. So in retrospect to our economy, it's critically important. We have $6 billion worth of ag products in the state of Oklahoma, actually quite a bit over $6 billion. A lot of that product goes outside our borders and is traded for cash. So the economy of Oklahoma is great.
And for Oklahoma, it's the infrastructure that keeps things moving.
The Port of Catoosa is critical for our rail and the highways. I mean, all of that fits together, and it's one of the huge advantages that America has and Oklahoma has on other countries. They don't have the infrastructure. Once they get the agricultural products produced, they can't get them to the market. So it is a huge advantage that we have in America.
And economic analyst Deidre Meyer says Oklahoma exports play a large role.
Exports are a very important part of our economy, mostly because they help generate wealth. The products and the goods that we sell to people outside of the state of Oklahoma bring in money to Oklahoma. What that does is it increases the standard of living for Oklahomans. It gives us more discretionary income, so that money can then be circulated within our economy. So exports are very important to the overall health and prosperity of the state.
And Meyer says there are some key players when it comes to who Oklahoma exports to.
The top country for our exports is definitely Canada. They comprise almost 30% of our exports. And of course, that's very oriented towards energy. The plays up in the middle section of Canada and Western Canada are very important to our pumps and valve exports.
While oil and gas is fueling the growth in state exports, aerospace, engines, and parts still remains Oklahoma's #1 export. Brenda Rolls is the president and CEO of Frontier Electronic Systems.
One of the things about a company like Frontier in Oklahoma is most of our customers are not local, so we're bringing in revenue dollars from outside the state.
A benefit that continues to grow our economy.
We're always wanting to expand, and that's one of the things that we're looking for, new markets, new products, so that Oklahoma can continue to grow.
So what is it we export? Well, topping the list, we have civilian aircraft, engines, and parts, which makes up $319 million. Next, we have medical appliances, which brings in $195 million. And rounding out the list, believe it or not, is swine meat, which brings in $154 million to our state's economy. But where do we send these products to? Well, as Deidre Meyer said, Canada races to the top with over 30% and nearly $2 billion to our state. Next is our neighbors to the south. Mexico makes up more than 8%, and Japan and China brings in 6.5% and 5.9%, respectively.
So Andy, a quick question for you. What do all these exports mean in terms of jobs?
Rob, nearly a quarter, or 22.5% specifically, of all manufacturing workers depend on exports for their jobs.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
Now, when we return, we'll take a look at the record shipping year at Tulsa's Port of Catoosa.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
While located near the geographic center of the United States, Tulsa's Port of Catoosa provides international access to a variety of manufacturers. For the first half of this year, cargo tonnage out of the port rose by close to 40%, with more than 500 new jobs being added. It's an economic engine for our state, yet one few of us notice because by design, the Port of Catoosa's business model just keeps rolling on down the river.
Just a few miles northeast of Tulsa, Oklahoma, near the city of Catoosa, the nation's most inland international seaport awaits an early morning arrival. This is the Tulsa Port of Catoosa, an unlikely setting for an international water port, where more than 2 million tons of cargo are transported by barge each year to ports throughout the nation and around the world. Year-round, the port ships outbound gypsum, lava rock, wheat and soybeans, liquid fertilizer, refined petroleum products, and fabricated equipment so large it can only be transported by water. Dry fertilizer and today's arrival of commodity steel and pipe are regular inbound shipments.
Port Authority, Port of Catoosa, this is a tug, James M. Hughley, arriving from the south.
For the captain and crew aboard this tow, life on the river offers the pace and unique grace of a Mark Twain novel, where time is measured in days instead of hours. And the journey's end at the Tulsa Port of Catoosa marks the start of a new journey to yet a different port.
Coming in 101 off the starboard side, 450 foot to be abreast.
Roger. We'll be offloading it at a steel dock, which will then be loading it onto rail cars to be distributed throughout the country.
Some 10 or so days ago, this payload, 1,500 tons of steel stowed into this hopper barge, originated on the Ohio River near Cincinnati. From there, it was pushed by towboat with other barges more than 500 miles down the Ohio River, 350 miles down the Mississippi, then northbound on the White, the Arkansas, and the Verdigris rivers into the Tulsa Port. While transporting this cargo by truck or rail might have been faster, a single river barge can transport as much cargo as 60 semi-trucks or 15 jumbo hopper rail cars, making the water a dramatically more efficient mode of transportation. The Tulsa Port of Catoosa is situated at the head of navigation for the McClellan-Kerr Arkansas River Navigation System, a 445-mile stretch of liquid highway that unfurls at the confluence of the White and the Mississippi rivers in southeastern Arkansas. From there, the waterway proceeds upstream on the Arkansas River to Muskogee, Oklahoma, where it joins with the Verdigris River, a tributary of the Arkansas. The McClellan-Kerr Arkansas River Navigation System is a series of reservoirs, also known as navigation pools. These pools are controlled by 18 locks and dams that ensure adequate and stable water flow from Catoosa to the Mississippi River. The locks create a stairway of water, enabling barges to step up and down the river. More than 20 years in construction and at a cost of $1.2 billion, the McClellan-Kerr Arkansas River Navigation System is a silent, often unnoticed testament to the visionaries who believed the unpredictable Arkansas River could not only be tamed, but economically harnessed. Few agreed. Even humorist Will Rogers quipped that the only way to make the Arkansas River navigable would be to pave it. For decades, the Arkansas River had proved itself a power with which to be reckoned. Between yawning spells of drought, floods of epic proportions swept away homes, property, and lives in Oklahoma and Arkansas. After the Great Flood of 1943, the time had come for change. Senators John McClellan of Arkansas and Robert Kerr of Oklahoma led the charge to persuade the federal government that turning the Arkansas River into a marine highway would enhance America's economy and strengthen our inland water transportation system. Transforming the Arkansas River into a viable resource seemed a Herculean task, but Senators McClellan and Kerr were undeterred in their beliefs that the Arkansas could be transformed to support barge transportation, generate hydroelectric power, reduce flooding, provide municipal water supplies, and enhance wildlife conservation, fishing, and recreation. In 1971, as the first barge arrived at the Tulsa Port of Catoosa, the once fanciful notions of two headstrong senators were vindicated. An incorrigible river was controlled, and the once landlocked state of Oklahoma officially offered reliable marine passage to the world.
We think, for instance, of the two-way savings water transportation is already beginning to bring the farm industry in this region. Lower shipping costs coming in mean that the farmer pays less for his fertilizer, machinery, and other supplies. And lower shipping costs going out mean that the farmer can pocket more of the market price of his crops and livestock. And that way, farm income is boosted twice, and the benefits extend across America and around the world to everyone who depends on the beef and the wheat.
Today, the ebb and flow of commerce at the Port of Catoosa is no longer limited to the river waters. The Port of Catoosa also hosts a 2,800-acre and growing industrial park, offering multimodal shipping by waterway, truck, and 2 Class I railroads. The port performs its own switching services and operates locomotives with 15 miles of track. Within the port's industrial park, numerous international businesses ship and receive goods and materials throughout the year, generating millions of dollars in annual economic revenue. The Port of Catoosa's industrial park is an attractive setting for global businesses whose operations depend on the port's strategic waterways and access to additional means of transportation. The port's industrial park offers many other advantages for businesses as well, including handling services and ample storage for dry cargo, liquid bulk terminals for fertilizer, and fully developed industrial sites for manufacturing. Less than 2 minutes away, the port offers a convenient retail center where restaurants, banking, and medical services are available to the surrounding community and those who work inside the industrial park. The arrival of today's cargo creates a new hub of activity onshore. As the port's 200-ton overhead crane swings into action, the economic engine of the industrial park quickly revs to life. In a precise ballet of man and machine, rolls of steel are hoisted from barges and transported to one of several steel service centers where the coils are unrolled and cut to length or slitted to precise dimensions. The steel will then be shipped to manufacturers, construction companies, and sales facilities at the port's industrial park or other locations throughout the middle and western United States. products manufactured using this steel often come back to the port in the form of huge processing equipment to be shipped by barge to ports of the world, thus completing an economic circle. The Tulsa Port of Catoosa is a vibrant symbol of Oklahoma achievement. From its impact on the state's economy to its vital role in inland marine transportation, the Port of Catoosa stands as a quiet reminder of American ingenuity and bold perseverance. To ensure that our youth, our nation's future leaders, recognize the importance and advantage of low-cost, environmentally friendly water transportation, the port also hosts a museum and education center where the port's first towboat is permanently dry docked for public viewing. Now, as America's focus centers more and more on the health and future of our environment, marine transportation remains the safest, cleanest, and most fuel-efficient method of surface transportation. The dawn of another day awakens Tulsa's Port of Catoosa in a slow, romantic rhythm and brings with it both the end and beginning of another river journey.
Well, access from America's largest cities is also a big advantage for not just the Port of Catoosa, but neighboring Port 33 and the Port of Muskogee. That's why state and local leaders celebrated the opening of a new 1.4-mile stretch of road that better connects Port 33 to Highway 412. Now, cost of the project came in close to $8 million, but officials say it was a good investment, increasing the state's exports. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Port 33 or the Port of Muskogee, we have stories on both of them streaming on our website. Just head to okhorizon.com and click on this week's Value Added.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon. Are Americans spoiled on oil?
Well, when it comes to what we're told about oil, there's rhetoric and then there's reality. Our daily lives are dripping in oil. It's in virtually everything we use and fuels everything we do. But is it a dangerous addiction? To be sure, dependence on foreign oil is something to worry about. Yet increasingly, thanks to new technology, our country is becoming less and less dependent on imports from unfriendly countries. For nearly 10 years, journalist turned media analyst Mark Mathis has studied our use of oil, and what he found shocked him so thoroughly that he made a movie.
I've been a user for most of my life.
America is addicted to oil.
Like all junkies, I've paid a heavy price for my habit.
Is that right?
That is true.
Yeah.
People have ridiculed me for years for challenging what we think we know about oil.
Well, you're giving your opinion, which is interesting.
I keep trying to debate the facts, but a lot of folks just don't want to hear it.
Let's go. I'm tired of talking to this guy.
That's because my drug of choice is not the one these people are talking about.
According to Mathis, we do have an oil problem in America, but it's not what you've been told. I was able to visit with the producer-director of the movie Spoiled outside its theatrical debut in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So, Mark, why did you decide to do this film?
You know, I was working first as a news reporter and then as a consultant, and as a consultant I was brought in to do some consulting with some folks in the energy sector. And anytime you're a consultant and you go and you learn about an industry, you have to study that industry. Well, I was blown away. And at that time, I was 40 years old. I had run a successful business. I'd been a news reporter for 10 years, and yet I did not have any knowledge of oil and the fundamental energy sources that run our lives. I became astonished at my own ignorance. And then, on top of that, I was blown away that I was so misinformed and that all of the people around me were misinformed. I became obsessed with the subject, and I've been obsessed for about 10 years.
Well, you're certainly not alone in being misinformed when it comes to the public. I have to ask you, though, in one of the lines of the film is you say that oil is actually good for our environment. Explain yourself.
Even people in the oil business are shocked when I say this. They say, Mark, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid here if you tell me that oil is the cleanest energy source ever found. And the fact is that without oil, what would your environment look like? If you don't have roads like in the developing world, then everything around you is dirty. When the wind blows, you're taking all of that dust into your lungs. This is one of the big problems in the developing world. If you don't have enough oil and energy, then you can't build the sewer systems that you need to properly treat the effluent before you put it back in the river. You start looking at your own personal environment. Everything that you use to keep your personal environment clean is oil-based. So if you separate out oil from your life and then you see how dirty your life becomes, then you start cluing into this idea that, yes, oil is extremely clean, the presence of oil, using it in your lives, and if you doubt that, go to any third world country like Haiti and see what your life would be like if you didn't have adequate amounts of oil.
Knowing that what you just said kind of flies in the face of conventional wisdom, what has been the reception to the film?
You know, it's been a little surprising. I mean, of course, in places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, it's very well received, and people come out of the theater saying, you know, thank goodness. We've been, for so long, we're tired of people just misrepresenting this commodity, this industry, what it does. We're so glad that somebody just told us the truth, warts and all. It's not some kind of a love song for the industry. Spoiled just tells what it is straight up. So that's been very encouraging and somewhat expected. The unexpected thing is that we have people from the left side of the political spectrum who watch this film, people who are very concerned about the environment, and when they're done watching the film, they come away from it and they say, you know what, this guy makes a lot of really good points, and we actually like the film. They'll get heartburn over a couple of issues that we discuss in the film, but on balance, even people on the left side of the political spectrum respect the film and think it's important and recommend it to other people to see.
So let me ask you, do you see a difference in the value of imported foreign oil to that of domestically produced natural gas, which we have a lot of in this country?
Sure. Well, I would say that oil itself, whether it's imported or domestic, is more valuable than natural gas because it's so much more versatile, it does so much more for us. That said, I would place a much greater emphasis in this country on moving toward natural gas-powered transportation. We need more we need to take the load off of oil when it comes to how we move people and products. Oil pulls 98% of the load. If we could get natural gas to take over some of that load, especially domestically produced natural gas, that could be transformative to world energy markets. Be one of the most positive things to happen for years. And I got to tell you, watching the politicians, I'm astonished that more politicians aren't jumping onto this bandwagon. This is the biggest energy no-brainer to come around in a very long time. Let's supplement oil with natural gas-powered transportation.
Yeah, so actually using natural gas for our transportation and then using the oil for higher value things like you talk about.
Sure. I mean, I believe we're coming at a time where we're going to need the oil for transportation as well, of course, and we're going to need to supplement it because we're coming into a time in which it is going to be very difficult for the world to produce enough oil to meet demand because of the big factors in play. The developing world, roughly 5 billion people now industrializing very fast. Oil consumption in nations that have used very little oil is ramping up significantly. And even with all of the good things that have happened in the United States over the last few years, when it comes to producing additional oil in the United States, that's not going to be enough to meet world demand.
And for those that haven't seen the film, you're not arguing that we shouldn't conserve this resource. It's just that we really need to value it and be good stewards of it.
Look, I think we need to use all of our resources wisely, no matter what they are, but especially oil, which is the most valuable resource we have. We need to value this resource. We need to use it wisely. We need to be more efficient with it. And you know, and the fact of the matter is, we as a culture have become much more efficient in how we use oil, more efficient than almost any other nation. So we're doing a good job. We can do a better job. And as this resource becomes more expensive, and as other products that are made from this resource become more expensive, we're going to be forced to use it more efficiently, and we'll adapt.
Well, certainly an interesting piece of work, and one that I think our country would be better if they got to see.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, to learn more about the film, just head to our website at okhorizon.com, where we have a link to the movie Spoiled. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we examine some of the changes underway in Oklahoma schools in today's digital age.
I think it's frustrating for classrooms because they want to teach the new technology tomorrow. But with all of our budgets, especially in this tough economy, we need to meter our dollars carefully.
That and more on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today, but you can see more of any of our stories on our website at okhorizon.com. You can watch us on the go with our weekly podcast on iTunes. Follow us throughout the week on Twitter at OKHorizonTV, or just become a Horizon fan on Facebook. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next time.
Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.